Over the course of the past year, we're going to say 10 months for the sake of the video, I have applied to over 500 jobs. And I'm here to tell you, hope is not a strategy. You mass applying to every job description that you see is not a strategy. The easiest way, or I want to say the better way to go about this, is through taking your time. Because plenty of people will tell you, hey, apply here, apply there, but you really need to hyper focus on yourself. You will spend a lot of hours reviewing your resume, not considering the job description or the specific keywords that may be there. And throughout this time, I also have seen ROI specifically on when recruiters reach out to you. But even those circumstances, you have to position yourself for that. There is so many people I've seen with like the advice talking about, hey, apply like it's a full-time job. I want to say over the course of 3 months, I did about 300 applications. Wake up, application. I did not stop. It was a ongoing process while I was still working, and I still had to do classes. So I had to schedule it to the side, but I still made time for it. Throughout this process, there is a lot of data gathering that's going on. You do not want to continuously do the same thing over and over again with no change in results. The definition of insanity is that very thing. What is the point of you applying to all these jobs if you're not keeping track of when they're replying, are they replying, and what platform? So one of the steps I took was I labeled specific emails, for example, on LinkedIn, and I put it into a category on the Gmail. So all my LinkedIn messages, if they were to be replied, will be coming from one location. Now, you can also do the same thing for Indeed, or the same thing for if you even want to use Robert Half. I know some people they like to use the cafe. Now, there's plenty of options, and there's high competition for work from home jobs and trying to gather your experience. But you have to do your homework. There's a reason why you're not getting callbacks. Maybe it's your resume, maybe it is your profile. There are so many reasons what it could be. There Before I even agreed that I was going to make an extensive plan of when I wanted to finish my education, what I wanted to finish it in, where I chose CIS specifically, and then my love for economics, I chose a double major in business economics. Now, throughout this time, I also continued to study for certifications. Yes, I am a crazy person when it comes to mastering your schedule and prioritizing. I was able to study for my CCNA within about 3 months. A lot of labbing, a lot of late nights, a lot of looking at the screen because one of the configurations was missing. But I'm very happy that was my first certification. I'll probably get into that in a different video. We move into the Network Plus, which I somewhat underestimated initially because of the cabling and the infrastructure. I did underestimate it. I followed that into because I wanted to get my networking fundamentals together. And so then I moved into my IS2 certified in cybersecurity. Saw it was free. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get down to foundations of security because a portion of the exam for CCNA was also basic security for switches and routers. Cool. Fast forward from there all the way into May. I spent about a month and a half prior. I'm like, hey, I want to understand the more corporate side of IT and how this plays into the business setting. So I decided I was going to go with the SSCP, my personal choice. We understand systems, how information is going, how do we secure these things. Now, I did severely initially underestimate it because I thought it was just going to be a certified cybersecurity 2.0. That's not the case. But I will tell you, if you're studying for your Security Plus and you also want to know this side of security, that definitely is the exam. I want to say that exam gave me the broader perspective that I needed to easily go through the Security Plus. Now, I also get to a video about that and the resources I use, but this is the planning I did throughout this time. Now, this was in May of this year. We then push into June. I'm feeling so confident about my studying, my progress. And so I'm like, you know what? We're going to take down the dragon. We're going to get the sword. Where's Excalibur? We're going to cut down the CASP. And so, of course, now it's called the Security X. I went through that information. It wasn't that crazy difficult. It was a lot of things to keep in mind. For example, when they're asking you, well, I can't get into exam, but just the perspective you need to take into is if you're working at an enterprise, there's multiple solutions because there's almost never one solution in IT. But you knowing multiple solutions and knowing which is the cheapest cost and what will fit this specific situation is how you can leverage your skills. Now, I am very proud. I took a lot of time for the studying, and of course, we want to deepen our knowledge for the cloud. But I'm going to tell you, do not stop advancing yourself. This is a field where you have to continuously educate yourself. There's new data breaches, there's new information going on every single day. Now, it may be a lot initially, but take steps at it. Steps at it. Because even when, for example, there are schematics about a new firewall that's able to organize logs and information, but you don't even know the basics about the OSI layer. How are we trying to skip steps? We have to backtrack. I made something unreasonable. I chose to do, I'm going to sacrifice a lot of my health, which means staying up late nights. I'm going to make sure I get to the gym. Now, sleep will disrupt everything within you, if I'm being honest. But when you have nothing else to give, you have to give yourself. You know, that's the truth. Because if you have something else to give up, then in that top 10, you probably cross out 2 other things. But if these things aren't important to you, they're not worth giving up in the first place, right? For example, you're overweight, cool. Now you know your weakness is cookies and what? Cupcakes. Let's say you go to Publix, you're always buying those. It doesn't make sense to try to cut back on fruit snacks when you know you probably only eat fruit snacks once in a month. It gotta be of something of meaning and value to you that you're willing to give up for any of this. Man, I want to say in the process, man, I was working on the graveyard for a long time. Got insomnia. It's crazy out here, man. There's a big price tag to any of this, but I know that if it works, it pays off. If not, well, that's the death of you. Or well, not TOS and All right. So I'm gonna say that, and throughout this year, having your weight change because I'm also dealing with like sickle cell and stuff, and I've discovered I'm like, oh, the Retta, it did definitely help. I haven't had a crisis in so long. It's unbelievable. Didn't know life could be like this where you're not scared you're gonna be like in the hospital kind of paralyzed, like well, you're not paralyzed, but like you're just in deep pain. But it was life changing discovering that this year. It on my list of things, I'd say that was something I could never expect. But I will say take care of your health and keep going forward. In this process of juggling, I've had to lead myself. There's so many days where you're questioning your decisions, especially when your results aren't presenting themselves as soon as you want them to be. it's a weird concept where you're like, you have no one to answer to in a weird way, but then you have only yourself to answer back, if that makes sense. Whether you have a family, I'm a family man, whether you're trying to improve your life in all facets, whether that be your career, your finances, there are plenty of avenues to do this. And part of that was making this YouTube channel. And I'm looking forward to you guys in the comment section talking about your experience in the job market, but specifically not too much doom and gloom, more on the side of advice you can tell other people, what worked for you, because wallowing in your darkness is not going to do anything for anybody. It won't make your situation any better. The best we can do is move forward. And I hope that for y'all. And of course, if you're hoping to improve your health or, the stereotype with weight in IT, I have the link tree at no extra cost to you, of course. And thank you. I appreciate it.